Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Salam alaikum. So now, inshallah, we're going to talk about, okay, we understood all of this. We accepted that the reason to go towards God is to get connected to the deepest part of who we are. We don't want our negative emotions, we don't want our stress to take control of our life. I want to go deep inside myself. I want to heal myself, right? So we accepted all of this. What do we do now? So in this session, inshallah, we'll talk about the healing steps that we can take, right? Now, the first one, we've already discussed it, right? The most important thing is to change this idea that in order for me to be happy or in order for my life to be good, I need to only change the external things, right? So this is a mind shift, a kind of a paradigm shift that needs to happen inside us. Now, it may take some time, of course, and we may not be able to make this change in all aspects of our life at the same time, right? That's fine. That's part of it. But the first thing we need to do is to accept, as soon as we felt in an area of our life that a thought came that, you know what, I need to do this in order to be happy. I need to have that. I need to stop this, or I need to stop seeing this person, right? As soon as we quote ourselves in a situation like this, we need to realize, oh, no, no, no. Now, after this discussion, I've realized that the reason I'm thinking this way is that there's something inside me which is triggered. Now, if I want to change the external world in order to avoid this trigger, this would only get stronger. It won't go away. It will take control of my life. So the first step is to acknowledge and create this change, right? And of course, it may take some time. Maybe initially for a few, weeks or even months, right? This is not a process that we can do in one day, right? You have to bear in mind what's on the other side of this. On the other side of this is this source of feeling connected to God, connected to ourselves, unconditional love, right? It's an amazing thing. It's worth the effort, right? So the first step is to realize this, acknowledge it. And it may come in so many different situations. Maybe we fix one area of our life, but then we have to start working on other ones, right? So we just, in the first part, acknowledge. As soon as we catch ourselves thinking that, oh, I need to change this, I need to do that, oh, this person annoys me, right? They shouldn't behave this way, right? Every time we feel annoyed by something or someone, maybe a person or a friend or a family member talks in a certain way and we feel annoyed. What is the first thought we usually have? They shouldn't be like this. Why are they like this? But now we change that. What is it inside me that is now triggered, right? Why is it that their behavior is making me feel uncomfortable? So instead of trying to change the world and people, we use that as an opportunity to go inside and see, okay, what is inside of us? What is it I have kept that when this person behaves this way or talks to me this way or this thing happens, I suddenly feel stressed or I feel disgusted or I feel unhappy, right? And then you realize that every person that upsets you actually becomes a teacher to tell you about what are the things you've kept hidden inside of you, right? Because as I said, by definition, this is hidden to us. So if you just, for example, sit down and try to figure out, okay, what are the things inside me that I need to heal? You can't come up with a list. Some of them may be from 20 years ago, some of them may be from 15 years ago, right? So how do I have access to this? Well, life gives you the opportunity. Something happens that triggers it and you become aware of it so you can start healing it, right? Now, this is something that a lot of people don't know, and then they have this, what I call the spiritual frustration moment, right? Let me explain what that is. as I said, a lot of us, we don't know what is inside of us, right? These hidden things, these blockages, these hurts, insecurities, right? We don't know. We don't have a comprehensive list of what triggers me, what makes me upset. Now, what happens to some people? For example, they go to Hajj, or they go to a, I don't know, religious pilgrimage, or they have a lovely month of Ramadan. As a result of it, they get some spiritual energy and they heal parts of themselves, right? So they feel calmer, they feel more connected to God. And then they come back from Hajj, or a time passes, or Ramadan passes. They are in a situation suddenly and they get so angry, a lot of temper comes. And they get so surprised with themselves. Oh my God, I thought I fixed myself. I thought I healed myself. I was so calm, right? Why does that happen? Because this part that is hidden, there was maybe parts of it which you still hadn't healed. That doesn't mean the work you did in Hajj or Ramadan is wasted. No. There in Hajj or in Ramadan, you healed parts of yourself, but you can't heal everything at once. So maybe the reason you got angry right now was that there was still something inside you which is triggered. It wasn't healed. So now, even though you're upset that you got angry, but this is a good news. Why is it a good news? Because it's telling you about the things which you didn't know you have to heal, right? So this is why they say every time something bad happens, there's a good news in it. Oh, yes, another part of me that I have to heal, right? Another part which was hidden to me, and now I have to heal. Okay? And again, when I say heal, this is very important, that a lot of people, they think healing is not expressing, right? For example, the idea that we're talking about tonight is that if someone bothers you, instead of getting mad at them, try and see what is inside of you that enabled them to offend you, that triggered this, right? What inside you was triggered now that you felt, for example, suddenly disgusted or angry? Now, two things. First of all, this doesn't mean that what they did, we're justifying it. No, we're not justifying that. The reason we want to do this is not because of them, it's because of us. Because we don't want to give the control of our well-being to the actions of others, right? So that's the first thing. That's why we're doing it. We're not just, but also, it doesn't mean that if you got angry, don't express it and feel that, oh, I'm so spiritual right now. That's a mistake that a lot of religious people make, right? A lot of people, religious people, unfortunately, mistake taqwa or spirituality with suppressing, right? Which is, if you think about it, the main source of the problem. So they get angry at someone and they say, oh, Sheikh Jawad said I should try and heal this, but they don't know how to heal. They push it down. They just think that, okay, I won't say anything to that person, right? Okay, I don't want to let this anger make me change the external world. Okay, so let me not say anything. They push it down. But what happens is that this stays here. Now, when anger stays here, we discussed this, it comes up either through thoughts or through emotions. And we also said the longer it stays here, the stronger it gets, right? So it comes back. And it can also turn into resentment, right? So maybe you may have had a friend, or maybe you are that friend for others, who never gets angry at anyone, right? Always accepts, and then suddenly one day goes and destroys everyone, right? So like, you never got offended, you never said anything, but now, when they lose their temper, oh, they lose it. Why? Because they kept pushing it down. They thought that means to be religious, that means to be spiritual. They kept pushing it down, and then it stays there, becomes stronger, and one day it comes up, right? So that's one of the things that we should be careful. When I say that we have to heal these blockages, I don't mean to again push them down, right? And as I said, a lot of religious people, unfortunately, deal with this. they push down anger, they push their sexual desires, right? They push their sexual desires down and they turn to fantasies. And the more they stay, the weirder they get. And they may come one day in the least expected time. Or maybe at the age of 50, at the age of 60, it may make them, feel different towards everything, right? So we don't want to push anything down, and we don't want to express our anger. So what do? This is the core of the healing process, right? Please pay a lot of attention. So we don't want to express the anger and we don't want to push it down. What do? The way to deal with this is the third option, and that is to slowly become comfortable, if I may say, become okay with feeling the energy that anger or sexual temptation or whatever this thing here is, to be okay with the energy that this creates within you, right? So, for example, what happens when we feel insecure? How does it feel? I want you to really pay attention, okay? What happens when you feel insecure? Or when you feel like you have a desire that you have to act upon? Or you're angry and you want to lash out, right? An energy comes in your body, right? Fills you, right? So you feel it sometimes in your body. It sends thoughts to your mind. So you are, we can say, experiencing an attack by that emotion. It gives you feelings in the body. Sometimes you may feel it in your stomach if it's like anger or fear. You may experience fear even in your throat, in your heartbeat, and it also sends thoughts. If it's fear, it sends scary thoughts. If it's, for example, a sexual desire, it sends thoughts. I have to do this. If I don't do this, I'll never be happy again. Oh, I want this. This should happen, right? I can never live without this. Now, all of this suddenly comes, right? Feelings in the body, thoughts in the mind, and we're like, I have to do something. I have to do something because this is so uncomfortable, right? Imagine you're living your life and suddenly your body, feelings, emotions, and thoughts in the mind are all under attack by this emotion, be it anger, be it fear, be it stress, be it this sexual desire. And because it feels so uncomfortable, you say, I need to do whatever I can to get rid of this, right? So you either act upon it, right? You either act upon it, like you lash out, you get angry, it's a sexual desire, you go and act upon it, or you push it down, you suppress it. That's what usually we do. But what was the reason behind the fact that we chose one of these two options? We were just not comfortable with this. We were surprised. It suddenly came and we were not prepared, and we said, okay, it's attacked us. We have to do whatever we can to get rid of it. Now, the way to heal would be to slowly be prepared and okay with this attack. The attack will initially come, but this time you're expecting it, right? You go a level deeper and from a distance observe this is happening to me, right? So for example, the next time a sexual desire comes, or maybe another addiction you have, maybe you're an overeater and you don't want to be like that. So the next time that urge comes, or fear comes, or stress comes, or the feeling that I'm not good enough comes, or the feeling that this person may leave me came, right? The next time this comes, you distance yourself from it and feel it, right? And you observe how it feels in your body and mind. Like, okay, all right. So this, the feeling came and it's making me feel this way in my stomach, right? Maybe my stomach feels tight. Maybe my chest feels tight. This is how it feels. Oh, it's sending thoughts to my mind, right? For example, it's telling me that if you don't eat right now, you'll never be happy. right? It's telling me that you have to eat to be happy, right? Eat right now, or do this, right? Or for example, maybe I feel insecure that this person may leave me, so it tells me comment them, right? Sorry, message them right now, right? Get an assurance that they won't leave us. Message them right away. Come on, right? Call them, message them, tell them, do you still love me? Will you stay with me, right? So whatever that feeling is, these thoughts are in your head, but now you just try to observe it, okay? All right, so it's sending me these thoughts. It's telling me to message him to make sure he's not going anywhere. Or for example, it's telling me to act upon my sexual desire and then I'll be happy, right? So just by observing it, the first source of its power is gone. Because the first sort of power, the first type of its power was the surprise. It would suddenly come, take over our emotion and thoughts, and it would surprise us, and we just had to act quickly. But now we're not surprised anymore. In fact, we're prepared for it. So the first type of its power, it's gone, right? And then slowly, we can talk to ourselves even, right? So for example, the sexual desire is there, or the desire to eat is there, or the desire to send that angry email to someone that you had an argument with is there. And now you talk to your mind, so it's sending, the desire is sending thoughts. You have to do this to be happy. And you ask yourself, well, the last time I did that, did it make me happy, right? So you establish a communication inside, right? Because you're not surprised anymore. You establish a communication. So the last time you told me the same thing, was I happy after, for example, I went and overate, or I acted upon that sexual desire I had, which I didn't want? Because some sexual desires are good, but that one, which again is coming and I don't want it to be doing, you're telling me if I act upon it, I'll be happy. Well, last time I acted upon it, was I happy? Well, it was nice for a while, but afterwards, no, I felt guilty. I felt disappointed. I felt this. It affected my self-esteem, right? So you start talking, communicating. And then that is the source of your power. That's when you realize that, oh, these thoughts, these emotions were not actually me. It may tell me that you'll never be happy if you don't act according to this, but that is not coming from the core of who I am, right? It's coming from this desire. That is the voice of this desire. So you distance yourself from it and you try to give power to this other voice inside you, this voice, right? Which doesn't want to be controlled by this. And this is perhaps one of the most important tools we have. We've got other tools as well, which we discussed. But this is perhaps one of the most and strongest tools we have in order to heal ourselves, right? So we wait to be triggered. Something triggers us and we don't need to wait long, right? It doesn't take that long for something to trigger us. Something makes us stressed, something makes us scared, abandoned, lonely, insecure, we don't need to wait long. We wait for it, we feel triggered, and then we're prepared, right? We observe. How does it make me feel? And then as you do this, you increase your threshold of taking uncomfortable experiences, right? The more you sit with that fear or that sexual desire or that desire to send that angry email, the more you sit with it and instead of acting upon it or suppressing it, just observe it or even communicate with it, the more your ability to experience discomfort increases, right? And now I want to even link this to the month we are in right now. That was the whole purpose of fasting, in my opinion. Something which a lot of us unfortunately missed, right? How was fasting meant to help us? It wasn't that when hunger comes, push it down, push it down, push it down, push it down, and then at the time of iftar, it comes back stronger than ever, and then you destroy all the foods. The purpose of fasting was to help us by trying to become stronger with experiencing discomfort. So hunger would arise in us, or thirst would come, and we were not meant to push it down and tell ourselves like 2 hours left, I'll eat. No, we were meant to say, okay, hunger has come, right? To observe it and slowly, slowly be able to sit with an uncomfortable experience. We were meant to practice this with hunger and thirst, so that when anger came, when sexual desire came, when fear came, when stress came, we had already done the preparation and we were stronger to sit with an uncomfortable experience without feeling the need that we have to immediately act upon it, right? But unfortunately, this is not the way we fast, right? Because all they told us is that fasting is from this time to that time, make sure you don't eat, make sure this doesn't. They never told us that fasting is about trying to observe yourself. So when you feel hungry, that's a moment of teaching, right? Sit still and observe what does it mean when you say, I'm hungry? What does it feel like, right? Try this tomorrow. Tomorrow, when you feel hungry or you're thirsty, try this. What does it feel? So when I'm saying I'm hungry and I'm so desperate to eat and all of this, this is what it feels like. I feel it here. It's a sensation here. This is what hunger means. So when I'm saying, I'm hungry, it means, there's a sensation here. And it's also sending thoughts as well. It's sending thoughts like you have to eat. If you don't eat, like this is going to happen to you. You can't wait till iftar. You can't. So hunger can send thoughts as well. I see, right? So you start observing these things, learning these things about yourself. You realize where in your body you feel hunger and what kind of thoughts it sends to your mind. And as soon as you learn this, you realize, so this thought that came to my mind, that you can't stand till iftar, you can't take it. I mean, for those who really can't. So it wasn't me. It was the hunger. And then the thirst would come. The same thing. Where do I feel the thirst? When I say I'm really thirsty. So what am I saying? I'm saying that there's a feeling maybe in my throat, maybe in my tongue. My tongue feels dry. So that's it. That's it. That was thirst. That was hunger that I felt so powerless in front of. That was it. Right? Now, we were meant to have that practice so that later on, when anger came, we were okay with sitting with anger. So this is what anger is. Oh my God, my heart is beating faster. Right? All these fantasies are coming. What? I want to throw something? Oh, wow. You realize, that's not you. That's the anger. Anger can send thoughts. So these thoughts are not coming from me. They're coming from anger. Right? So this way, your ability to sit with uncomfortable experiences increases. And then the next time they come, you don't need to act upon them. And you don't need to push them down. So what is left? Experiencing them. And as you experience them, you've taken the first step towards healing. Because the next time it comes, you already have this experience before that, you came another time as well. And I just let you be. So the more you experience this, the more you experience just letting them be. Hunger comes? Okay, welcome. Be there. Or sexual desire comes, or anger comes, or fear comes. Fear can come as well, right? Fear comes. This may happen, right? Try and observe, how does fear feel inside? Right? Fear is making my chest feel tight. That's what it's doing to me, right? It's making my chest feel tight. I feel it in my gut as well. This is what it's doing. But I don't need to act upon it. It's just message. It's just sending a message to my body. It's communicating to me, right? It's communicating to me. I say, thank you. You did your job. You communicated to me, right? Because the system we have, for example, fear, it was built in us in order to protect us from danger, to save our lives, for example, if an animal was attacking us. But now I say, okay, thank you. You communicated with me. I feel you, right? You're talking to me through this feeling in my gut and the tightening of my chest. You're also sending some thoughts to me. Like you're saying, if you do this, the worst thing is going to happen, right? Or maybe, for example, it can be so many different scenarios. Maybe a loved one has gone out and it's 1 a.m. They still haven't come home. So fear comes and it sends thoughts. Oh my God, this must have happened to that. This must have happened. Maybe they've died. Maybe this, maybe they had an accident. Maybe they had an accident. Maybe this, maybe that. So you realize, this is fear talking to me. These are the thoughts that fear is sending to me. Okay, thank you so much. I appreciate it, right? I'm okay. Now, the more you sit with your fear, the more you sit with your, for example, anger, the less powerful they become, and the more you heal yourself. And then maybe after a while, you notice that the same situation which before would immediately trigger you to get afraid, you wanted to go out of that room or that environment, now it happens, you may even feel similar in your body, but now you have the strength to let it be, okay? And while it passes, when it passes, you continue your life without the need to change anything to silence it, right? And so there is no suppressing, it's all acceptance and experiencing. And that is maybe the most important part of healing, right? So that is why it's also very important to look at our anger, our sexual desires, our fear, our stress, not as bad things, right? Because if you think about it as a bad thing, you would be more likely to suppress them. The experience becomes harder, right? Instead, you say, okay, these are the things that happen, but I am slowly going to become so strong that I don't need to act according to them. I don't need to act upon them. But if you feel that just because anger has come or this desire has come, if you take this to mean that you're a bad person, then that difficult experiences become even much more to go through. Why? Because anger was there, you added guilt to it as well. So now you're feeling anger and you're feeling guilt. It just becomes that much more difficult to sit with it, to let it go. So you're more likely to push it down, right? So that's why it's so important to remove the guilt away from it so that you can sit with it. It happened, right? Okay, yes, I'm a kind of person who in many situations feels like anger comes in them. That's okay. I will work on it. I will heal it, right? There's no need to feel guilty about it as long as you want to fix it. And that's why when you look at our religion, you see that forgiveness of God is always there, right? Always there. Why? Because God never wants you to feel guilty for just feeling something. Right? Because as soon as guilt comes, you're more likely to suppress, which stops the process of healing. Right? God says, I will always forgive you. I even love you. We discussed the hadiths the other live session. Right? God says, عَادَتُهُ الْإِحْسَانِ لِلْمُسِيئِينَ. Imam says about God. The way God works is that He shows kindness and goodness to musi'in, the one who do bad. Right? Because God is always loving, right? So God doesn't want you to feel guilt. God just wants you to heal. And even He doesn't want that for Himself. He wants it for you, right? So forgiveness of God is always there. It's very beautiful. In one of our ad'iyah, the Imam says to God, oh God, you tell us, right? The Imam is talking to God in one of the ad'iyah and says, God, you tell me that when someone does something wrong, I should forgive, right? It's a very Islamic teaching. If someone does wrong, ahsan ila man asa, right? Forgive them, even do good to them. So if you tell me to behave like this, then obviously you yourself are going to behave like that. You're going to be nice to anyone who does bad, right? It's a very beautiful point. And it's very interesting. Imam even takes it to the next level. He said, you told me, oh God, that when someone harms me, I should try and forgive them and be nice to them, while what they did sometimes actually harmed me. But God, you are never harmed by what I do, so you'll definitely forgive me, right? And God himself says, yes, I'll definitely forgive, right? God says, for example, in that phrase, if the people who are dealing with their mistakes and shortcomings knew how much I just want them to come towards me, they would have become so happy, right? Why is this all this emphasis on forgiveness, on that don't you ever worry, no matter what you've done, no matter what you're experiencing, what kind of urges, desires, or whatever? Because they just want to remove guilt from this whole process. Because guilt just makes healing 10 times harder, maybe 1,000,000 times harder, right? So next time a desire or an urge or whatever comes, we just sit with it, right? So we said this is perhaps the most important and the first step, and and of course it takes time as well, right? So what was at the core of it? At the core of it was that I don't need to change the external world in order to feel better. So for example, if I feel scared, if I feel stressed or insecure, I don't need to, for example, change my friends or go to a different environment or etc. to be happy. No, I need to heal. I need to get rid of these barriers I have. And how did we do that? Well, we said the first thing is to know that by healing yourself, happiness is achieved much easier than trying to change the world. And the way to do that was try and see what are these things we have inside us that keep getting triggered and sending negative energy and thoughts, right? And how do we know what are the things we keep triggered in ourselves? Well, it's not very difficult. We just wait and sit. Something happens in the world, someone says something, we're triggered. And we say, aha, right? So anytime someone does something that upsets us, anytime something happens that we get upset, chances are we have kept something inside, memory or whatever, which is now triggered. And it's time for healing, right? It's time for healing. And how do we heal? By sitting with that experience, observing ourselves, knowing that the options are not only to either act upon or push down, right? For example, someone says something, I'm super offended. One way would be to say something back, to act upon that, or to push it down. Say, no, it doesn't matter. Like lie to myself. Well, it truly matters because your whole body feels different right now. Don't push it down. So one way was that. One way was this. The other way was to just sit down with it and experiencing it. Okay, that person said something. I feel offended. Let me observe, what does this mean to be offended? Let me sit with it. And you see, offended means that it must have triggered part of me which is insecure, right? And it's sending these thoughts to me. So you just experience, okay, what kind of thoughts is it sending to you? What kind of feeling in your body is there? And the more you sit with it, the more you strengthen yourself and the more you increase your ability to sit with difficult experiences. So next time anger comes or sexual desire comes, you can just sit with it. It would be uncomfortable, but now you have the power just to let it be, right? And then the more you do that, the more you heal. And of course, it takes time, right? It takes time. Maybe, for example, anger takes months to deal with. But we said it's all right. Don't feel guilty about it. As soon as you decide to handle this, as soon as you make this change, you don't have nothing to be worried about. You may fail. It doesn't matter. Every time you try, you're increasing your ability, right? And sometimes, yeah, it may take time. And others may not even notice for a while, right? So some people get upset. I've changed, but still people look at me as the angry person. It's okay. That's their problem. Give them time. Usually, because, usually we form solid ideas of people and we don't change it. Oh, that's the angry one. Oh, that's the this one. That's the that one, right? So even when they change themselves, we were so slow to change our opinion of them. So even if you change yourself, for example, maybe in your family, no one took you seriously. They always looked at you as the silly one. And now you've changed yourself and you realize that no one is appreciating it. It's okay. Just give them time. I remember one of the spiritual teachers said that there was this lady who was working with her anger, and it took her a year to finally heal the anger, right? Heal herself. It's a beautiful work. It's a beautiful work. It took her 1 year. She healed her anger, and then, but it took her friends and co-workers and everyone 2.5 years to notice, she said. She said it was only after 2 years that they told me, by the way, you're not getting angry as much, right? We're all like that. We change, but people don't notice. But it doesn't matter. We're doing this work for ourselves. I work on my anger for myself. Why? Because we said once we remove these barriers, right, we get access to that source of energy inside us. We get access to the deepest part of ourselves, which is the place where we get connected to God. And we said from there, we're going to get unconditional love, unconditional positive energy. We're doing it for ourselves, right? So it doesn't matter whether others appreciate it or not, but eventually they will. And the thing is, as you heal yourself, you change the environment, right? You change things. Slowly, people around you would feel different and they would also start the healing process. It's very, very, very powerful, a person who starts healing themselves, right? So that was one way for healing, because a lot of people were saying, how do I do this, right? We said by trying to sit with the discomfort of the time we are triggered, we heal, right? And you don't need to start with the hardest things. Maybe you can start with the things which are easier, right? Because if something here has turned into an addiction, it may be very hard to resist it, right? What happens is that when it gets triggered, right, there's something here. When it gets triggered, if we've been acting upon it for a long time, the energy it sends is very powerful, right? Especially if it's turned into an addiction, or it could be eating, it could be sexual, it could be, the addiction to maybe get assurance from our friends that they would stay with us. It could be anything, right? If it's become super strong, maybe we can start from other things. Because this one, when the energy comes, it may be so strong that you don't have the time to allow it to settle down, right? Because the thing with these energies is that they have memory, right? So if you, for example, have every time this was triggered and it sent negative energy, and in order to get rid of energy, you acted a certain way, you've created a pattern, right? And if it's an addiction, it means that that pattern is so strong. So as soon as it's triggered, you feel like your body is about to go on automatic mode, right? As soon as it's triggered, you feel like, it almost feels like you have no free will, right? It almost feels that way. You can, but it's just, it almost feels that way, right? Maybe you've noticed this yourself. With a certain thing, you even decided, I'm never going to do that again. That's it. I am never going to do that again. Maybe you even wrote it down somewhere. Maybe the night of Qadr you promised yourself. But then you went, you got triggered, and automatically you felt a different person. You went and did it. And as soon as you did it, you were like, oh my God, what did I just do? Right? So what happened was that this pattern was so strong that it didn't give you the time to distance yourself from it and sit with it. Right? It's okay. Start with things which are simpler. Start with things which are not that strong. And that's why I said fasting was there. Because fasting was to deal with thirst and hunger. And for some people, thirst and hunger are actually easy. Even though for some people, hunger could be their problem. But for a lot of people, hunger and thirst is easy. So try and practice this with these two, right? Hunger comes, observe it, distance yourself from it. In other places where they, for example, recommend the spiritual teachers is traffic, but now because of lockdown, I'm not sure how relevant that teaching would be. Just look in your life, see where is it that you're triggered, and try and sit with it, right? And let me give you some examples. For example, today I was talking to one of my academic colleagues, sent an email, it just reminded me of a task, and for a few seconds, I was so surprised it was taking over, right? It was taking over. It brought all the feelings with it, right? It sent thoughts, oh, we have to do this, oh, we don't have time. And but then I was like, oh, after a few seconds, I managed to distance myself from it and observe it. Okay, this is what's happening. This email came, right? It's trying to trigger stress in me. Fair enough, this is how it feels. And it's not going to stop being uncomfortable. It's still going to be uncomfortable, but now you are okay. You are able to deal with it. So you don't need to push it down, right? Now, what would have happened if I had pushed it down? If I didn't catch myself? You know what would have happened? Maybe I pushed it down. Maybe I would even come and have this live session, but after Sehri, when I go to bed, after prayer and everything, I would go to bed, it would send thoughts. Oh my God, you didn't listen to it. You didn't do it. Stress. It would communicate with me because it was pushed down. It came out. But now, because I took distance from it, I said, okay, this is what's happening. This is the thought it's sending. It's making me feel this way. I experienced it and I let it go. All the energy it had, it spent it on me. I said, yes, give me all the energy you have. It's uncomfortable, but I will try and sit with it. And it used all the energy. So there was no energy left to go down. And at night when I sleep, it won't send thoughts to me, right? Because it's already done its job. I sat with it, I listened to it, and it left, right? Now, when I want to actually go and act according to that email, I don't need to be stressed without any monster. No, I just go and do whatever I need to do, right? So it may take time. We can start with the easier things. And inshallah, maybe we can talk about other steps as well, because this is not the only way. There are actually other things we can do. So inshallah, we can talk about that maybe in the other sessions. I hope you have enjoyed this. If you think this is useful, maybe you can even send it to your friends, because I think perhaps Ramadan is the most important time to hear about this teaching. And inshallah, I'll try to download this to either put it on YouTube, or if maybe even on Instagram. Hala, we'll see where to put it. We're also inshallah working on a meditation about the same thing, about how to deal with temptation, right? So it's going to be a meditation to guide you when the temptation comes, how to deal with it, right? So that next time, for example, this feeling comes or whatever, I will be there to tell you how to deal with it. And inshallah, we're going to post that on YouTube as well. And inshallah, if you still haven't, go and check our YouTube, the non-snoozers. And that's it, inshallah. See you at another time. Please pray for me and take care of yourself. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.